Hey y'all, it's your boy Wealthy Vu, and I'm your host for this little segment. So we're gonna talk about Comm220 today, about like my experiences with the class, the reflection, and just how outstanding it was overall. So let's jump into it, and I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit how I feel. So overall with this class, I felt that it was amazing. I had such amazing people right off the bat, good friends, good classmates, and just a fantastic time with an amazing professor too. So before I dive into my comments about the end of the class, we're gonna give a little summary of like a little reflection of kind of like what we did with some articles, readings, podcasts, and my outtakes of this class. So like when I first think about the two couple readings that we did in class, there's two or three that really stick in mind to me. So like the first one I'm gonna bring up is Durham and Kellner's Culture, Ideology, and Hegemony article that really opened up my eyes thinking about we have a lot of issues that go on already in terms of different culture, ideology, and hegemony, like in the United States or in the world. So how do you tie that all together? And this article does a really good job to express how we do that, how others do that, politicians to just people in our daily lives. Another article that I think that was really important that I learned from this class was just how much like privilege other people have comparing to others. For example, like I said, I don't say anything to be rude or racist. I respect people of all race, class, and colors. But yeah, I read an article in this class that I thought was really interesting about this young man. He had a brother, and they both grew up in this really poor and poverty area, and he ended up going to Yale while his brother went up and ended up going to jail. And I think that that is relevant to me and important because I come from a background where a lot of my people, I'm Hmong, so a lot of our people don't make it far and don't make it to the highest level of education compared to other races, and there's terrible stigmas. So I totally understand these stigmas and stereotypes that they were going through, because from personal experience, people really put me at a disadvantage if I'm Hmong and I have these certain stereotypes that I have to beat. Another article that I think I want to express is Bloomingfield's article about Christian privilege. We live in a country where, well, I go to a private school that's very Catholic and very tied in with just religion, but it's also relaxed at the same time. But when you think about our country, it's very around Christianity with everything you do, like on the coin or on the dollar bill. It says, "In God we trust." In our anthem, we have "God Bless America." It's really around that. So I think that these readings really stick out to me because it opens out my eyes and lens to see, what other people think, and also with what's going on around my life, but also around the world. So it makes you not oblivious. You see that. A podcast that I thought that was really interesting and stuck out to me from this class was something about Tim Wise, and well, that certain thing about Tim Wise was colorblind denial from Caucasians. I grew up in Spokane, Washington, so I've been around a lot of Caucasians, and I love being around people of all races and Caucasians and everybody. But it's interesting because sometimes they don't see the same views as I do. Like growing up, I remember I went to an all Catholic private, grade school and high school, and a lot of those people that went, my friends and classmates, never really saw some of the same ideologies and different privileges that they have versus me. And such as, let's give an example. Like I take if I go on a date, I take a Caucasian girl. I get stares at, and people look at me, and sometimes even question me, like, is this the norm? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm an American, But some people don't see that, and like other people that are Caucasian, they would question and say, no, that's not normal, that's not right, or that's the norm. So you just kind of have to go and with the flow and understand that. But I think it's important that Tim Wise is calling out those people and saying, hey, you gotta know that it's not right to be colorblind, but also to let's bridge the gaps and make sure that we can understand one another. And I really like that. When you talk about like personal power in groups, I love the group activities that we did in this class. We were working well with just making sure everybody did the work. It was a fair amount, and our group activities were pretty good, and I think they were really awesome, and it helps you enhance and engage in the material better. So for me personally, I had an amazing group with a bunch of bros, so I felt pretty chilled, and two of them I knew pretty well, so it was really awesome to just work with them, but also just to do it in an academic setting where we can learn more about our material about the class. We dove more about privilege, more about stereotypes, ideologies, and power, like the power that we see in difference. And it was cool because like my group was also pretty diverse too, so we had different perspectives that we could just say yeah, yep, or juggle. And even if we disagree, we just work together. So it was pretty cool and awesome to see. An interesting study that I think that would be more awesome to check out is just to see in a college setting how many students like actually use the power that they learn in class in the classrooms at home or like anywhere. So for an instance and an example, like people and students always like when you're in class, you have this persona that you are gonna use what you learn on the real field. But the real question is, do they actually do it? And that's what I would question because I know when I say something, I could stand by it and do it. But can people as a whole do that? And that's something I'm always being like always exert and be like, okay, can they? So let's see it in action. My proposal is we should do a study so we can practice power outside of the classroom. I think it'd be interesting to do that with just people in general, just to see how that goes. Like either like at the mall, at the streets, anywhere, but just engaging with people in the public versus people in a school setting. Because I feel that that will help you enhance and enrich more of the understanding and use more of your practice. I think that you learn a lot from experience, and that experience is needed. Discernment, honestly, like I feel like to see how much power is in play in this world today and what happens is that we know that there's so much different powers in terms of politically, academically, sport in the sports field or anywhere. I mean, there's so much power at play. We can talk about power for hours and days, but yeah, I think that with the power that I'm gonna say that goes with all is that you can learn from these power and these experience by just being yourself, but understanding and like loving those. Like we can love and learn from each other, and I think that's what power teaches us. We shouldn't oppress each other and put each other down. We have different perspectives that are valued and need to be respected by all. And even if you don't agree with it, just be respectful enough to understand and let them speak. I think that's what's important, and that's what I get with the discernment part is that power is meant to have different ideologies and different differences, but we should have the power to understand one another and have the respect to just say, you know what, that's okay. Personally, for me, this class, like Comm220 and just power in general, really helps me, with my knowledge of helping me who I am and what I want to do in my life. Because for me, I do know what I want to do. I want to be a lawyer to help people that are underrepresented at any class. No matter they rich or poor, I want to help them and I want to help support them and advocate their ideas and their concerns. That's my big ideology is helping and serving others, but also improving myself by helping others. That's how I get better is by um, you know, loving other people, but also by doing my work. So this class does an excellent job to go with it. And for example, like how do I respond and not and I resist power? I just kind of do with what I'm taught with my morals, and I don't do what the norm wants me to do. Like for example, people might go out and drink, and I said that's okay. But for me personally, I made a vow not to drink, and I'm gonna stand by that, and I can follow through with it, or not to do anything idiotic or flabbergasting. So I always make sure that I can stay real and truth to what I am. But this class helps me stay focused and do that. So my identity makes up like my power and my privilege by making me like honest and understanding others. I just keep it real. I don't like keeping secrets, and I'm just out there so I can, like I said, we want to better each other, but also understand each other's disadvantages and privileges. I know for me, I've been on both sides of being underrepresented or being put down, but also I've been on the side where people have put me up and stuff because I'm educated. I go to a good school and excellent people. So I think that's really important to know is just to understand. Doesn't matter if you had the power or not, treat everybody the same, treat everybody in equal is what I would say is very important. And finally, I would say that, like, you know, it talks of, there's an article that we're supposed to share with friends and family, and I gotta say, like, honestly, like, one thing that I grew up about power that I never liked, and this can go with like my culture or the American culture as a whole, is sometimes we have people that are too controlling, and particularly, so I'm going to use an example. So we're going to say parents sometimes can be a little bit too controlling, and it's okay to be controlling, but be respectful to your kids and remember that we need to not helicopter them too well, but guide them in the correct way. Sometimes they're gonna need it, sometimes they don't want to hear it. So respect it when they don't want to hear it. But kids, I ask you to listen to your parents and understand that too. As a coach, and I'm not a parent. I'm still a kid. I still listen to my parents, but you want to be respectful and think logically to say, does that make sense or not? So yeah, that's kind of my reflection about Comm220. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, I mean, I love to do video updates like this about any classes or anything. So just let me know what else you guys want. Also, yeah, just go check out everything. And just a huge shout out to my Comm220 class. Just marvelous people, beautiful people inside and out. And our professor was outstanding herself too. She kicked butt, and class was always entertaining. And we had awesome class activities where we had to, like, just do goofy things that you would think that wouldn't relevant to class or communications, but it really was. So like, for example, we did a circle thing where we all had to, like, imitate like some form of power or some form of masculinity, and we did just other activities where we had to just like listen to power, and it shows, do we resist it or not. And I think that this class was just amazing overall. Huge kudos to it, and sad's over, but you know what? It's something that I'm going to use for the rest of my life. So thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.